Okay, we are back. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-host, the lovely and talented Andrea Kay. I needed to get her up out of her chair. And the always interesting Al Arias. And our guest is Mr. Bill McKraken from American Mutual Benefits. Welcome, Bill.
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me on the show.
Oh, sure. What a radio voice he has, doesn't he?
He does.
That's fantastic.
So American Mutual Benefits. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you do it.
Yeah. Al mentioned the fact that every business should have a strategy, and that one of the things they should do is be aware of any federal codes that they can take advantage of. And that's what we do. We help companies utilize what is often called cafeteria plans, Section 125 codes, to have an employee benefit that enables employees to take their out-of-pocket medical expenses and daycare expenses and use them as a tax deduction. And the great thing is it's a win-win, because when they reduce their taxable income, the employer is also having their payroll liabilities reduced. So it's a win-win.
So the employer gets to reduce their payroll tax. The employee gets to reduce their payroll tax plus the federal and state tax, correct?
Right. By utilizing this in almost all the states in the United States, they avoid having to pay any federal or state taxes. So it can be significant. We always talk about now roughly about 25% they will save by utilizing this plan.
Wow.
25%.
Yeah, so effectively get a tax deduction for medical expenses
that you wouldn't
get
right.
because of the 10% rule on adjusted
gross
fantastic.
Income. That's fantastic. So now, if I understand correctly, the employer gets an added benefit too. If you're reducing the employer's payroll, and their payroll tax exposure, you're also reducing their exposure to workers' compensation, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, it's across the board. They basically, all of their payroll costs are reduced by the amount of that deduction. So, yeah.
Is it dollar for dollar, or is it like a percentage?
Well, as an example, let's take an employee that has a $2,000 check and they have a $200 claim. So they reduce that to $1,800 that's taxable. The tax is calculated for them for their payroll taxes, of course, are less, but the employer is also only paying payroll taxes on $1,800. So what happens is that $200 is taken out, all of the different payroll taxes are calculated, and then that $200 is put back in tax-free.
Oh.
Well, that's a sweet deal for everyone.
Al is loving that over there. He's like speechless. He loves the idea of people saving money, right, Al?
It's Bill's thunder.
Yeah. Al needs a company with about 4,000 employees to do this, so we can get that $4 million mark for him.
Oh yeah.
So
we got to keep him able to buy snappy jackets like he's got on right now.
Yeah. So tell me, how do you market your services? Who do you look for as clients to help you deliver your product?
We work primarily through health insurance or health program brokers or brokers. Getting tongue-tied here. I'm looking at Andrea and falling in. No, never mind.
He said she's lovely.
You're gonna owe me after.
I know. Did I mention I'm the only gal?
Lovely?
Did I mention how happy I am to be the only gal here in a room of gorgeous men today? It's a good day.
We work through the brokers who have clients who are already using health plans, because one of the conditions is that for employees to participate, they have to have health insurance. So once they have that health benefit policy, then we can then use our additional policy coverage to enable them to use the plan. And it can only be done through employers. You can't individually elect to do this. Congress, in their infinite wisdom, looked at the employees and said, you know what, how can we help them out? Let's see if we can't get their money back to them that they paid on money.
So it can only work through a payroll service. So even if you're a sole proprietor and you employ others, if you're not on the payroll, you can't use it.
Right. In fact, really, if you are the owner or highly compensated, there are exclusions, and those are some of the exclusions. Your employees can participate. You can't if you own the business. There's another way to get at that, but I mean, this particular program won't do that for you.
Interesting. You're listening to Close Up on Syndicate Business here on KFSD AM 1450 and financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-host Andrea Kay and Al Arias, and our guest is Bill McKraken from American Mutual Benefits.
What's your sweet spot? Is there like 15 employees, 20, 10?
We tend to work with a lot of smaller businesses, like 5 and more, but the plan will work for any size. I would say that a lot of our employers are in the 15 to 30. We certainly have bigger ones, but that kind of seems to be the range that is real common.
That's awesome, because I was thinking, you would probably need a minimum of like 50, but if you can work in smaller, that's truly exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's the interesting thing to me on this is it looks, smells, and tastes very much like a flexible spending account, but it doesn't have a lot of the restrictive code that goes around it. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah, great point. With a typical FSA, which is the most common plan, you have to what we call guesstimate at the beginning of the year and then have money set aside every month. And then if you don't use it, you lose it. And you're limited to $2,500 a year. With this plan, because you're not putting money away that you might use in the future, instead, the only thing you can claim is where you've already paid the expense. You don't have to guesstimate at the beginning of the year. There's no use it or lose it, and there's no limit.
Wow.
No limit at all?
No limit.
So, I remember there was a similar program on the market some years ago, and where one of my clients had a $50,000 dental expense.
What?
Was able to.
Holy moly.
Don't ask me. I didn't ask you.
Like
don't ask me. Okay.
A mouth
transplant?
But, yeah,
plus
but he got to take the whole deduction. So that's why
awesome.
I support programs like this. I think they're great.
Yeah.
So you're looking to introduce this traditionally through the health insurance brokers because they need to have a health plan in play in order to put this in, correct?
Yes, much more efficient. We did when we first started out. We thought, we'll just reach out to corporations, and then we found that there were a number of them that didn't have health plans. And so, now you don't have to have a health plan as an employer, but your employees have to be on some kind of a health plan.
Right. So even if they have an individual product instead of a plan that spreads throughout the group, they can do that.
Yes.
So how do you treat it? It sounds when we get into flexible spending accounts, there's always the medical, the dental, and the vision care that goes into that, and then there's a separate program for child care. How do you deal with child care?
Okay, child care is a typical FSA plan. It's limited to $5,000. We do help with both, and we do help companies set up both. But, yeah, the medical, dental, and vision is a separate plan that has no limits. The dependent care is one where you do have a $5,000 limit.
Okay, but you can deal with both sides from American Mutual.
Yes.
Now, are there limitations to how the money is used, whether it's medical, dental, vision, or child care? Is it just, like what are the restrictions and limitations?
Dependent care is $5,000. The dental and the vision and the medical is not limited. There's no percentages or anything you have to deal with. You do have to, anything that you're going to claim has to basically have been approved by the IRS codes. And there's a myriad of things that you qualify for, but anything that is cosmetic, you can't claim. Gym, memberships you can't claim. I think the IRS has a philosophy, if you're improving yourself, that's reward enough. So you don't get the deduction.
So the way to think of it is really then just like traditional medical types of services.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, and that's good enough.
Oh, yes.
It really is.
Yeah, I think I heard Bill say this to me one time where, as long as the doctor, essentially approves it, then it can be run through the plan.
Yes, correct.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, that's fantastic.
So
how long have you been doing this?
We've been at it for about 4 years, going on 5 years.
That's so much to have to keep up with, though, in terms of regulations and laws and all that. Correct?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we need people like Al in our corner, so keep us straight.
Yeah, I bet.
So
the real mind blower is Obamacare. I mean, it just drives you nuts.
Absolutely.
There's just even Section 213 plans now need an administrator, a third-party administrator. or else, and you don't like the or else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's ugly.
Yeah. Well, what I love about this, though, is that everybody's costs have gone up under Obamacare. That's what I'm hearing. And this is a way to get some money back in your pocket and to reduce your costs.
Yes,
correct?
We're trying to get an appointment with President Obama to show him that, hey, here's a plus. We can show you how you can give back. We haven't gotten that invitation yet.
I don't understand why.
I don't either.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a subject to keep away from Andrea, okay?
Yeah. We'll be picking that up Tuesday at 11.
Yeah. So we are starting to run out of time, so tell our listeners how they can get more information about American Mutual Benefits.
Okay, you can reach us by either going on our website, which is AM as in Mary, B now.com, or you can call us at 888-884-4080, or you can email us at amb@ambnow.com.
Great.
Awesome.
Well, I think we're running a little bit over today, so I appreciate you being with us, and let's definitely keep the word going.
Thank you.
Great. You've been listening to Close Up on San Diego Business on KFSD AM 1450 and financialnewstalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, and we will be back next week.
This is Financial News and Talk on the Astor Broadcast Stations, AM 1450, KFSD, Escondido.